Hello everyone, welcome to the channel again, and thanks for the subscribers, and people are viewing the videos, and I appreciate that. If I could teach someone something, it makes me feel good, and plus it gives me a log and a record of things I've done that I can look at later. Today we found these two mowers at the curb on the way back from the store, and it looks like we have a Toro recycler mower here, and then we have another Craftsman here. You can see they're in pretty rough shape. They're dirty, there's no question about that. A lot of times, even if people see something like that at the curb and it's filthy, they'll pass it off, but we're going to clean it up first. That's one of the first things I do before I start kind of troubleshooting it and looking into it. I don't like working on dirty things. Plus it gives me a better view and a clear view of everything and the condition of everything. And then here, this one does have a little rusty, I don't know, it's not too bad. That can probably be cleaned up. It's not broken. There is tape here, but there's really no reason for it. Maybe it was put there to hold the cable in place. This is a Craftsman high torque Eager 1 6.6 engine. I believe that's Tecumseh, which is a good engine. I have a snowblower with one, and this one here is also, I believe, a Tecumseh engine. And but we're going to dig into that. But our first step is we're going to clean this up. I'm going to start with this one. It did come with the bag. I'm going to start with this one. We'll clean it up, and then we'll start looking into it and see if we can't get it running. Alright guys, so I think the result is pretty darn good. I spent probably about 15 minutes with a scrub pad and some soap, and as you can see, it looks like a brand new lawnmower. We'll get a look at the front of it. It's looking pretty nice. There's no rust on the decking at all. So this is a definite candidate for trying to find out if we can get it running. So we're going to start with that one. And then we have the other one that I cleaned up. It's a 6.6, which I'm sure is just a marketing ploy. Eagle 1 engine. And that also has the self-propel. So we'll start with this one, and we're going to do the basic stuff and look through it, and then see if we can't get this lawnmower running. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is kind of just look at the oil, see if there is any oil in it. Yeah, I see some oil there, but it doesn't look like it's where it's supposed to be. But the oil, it doesn't look filthy. It doesn't look terrible. So that's a good sign. We can take a look and see if there's any gas in here. See if we can get more light. I don't see any gas, but I see a bunch of... It almost looks like somebody put kitty litter or something in there. Let me see if I can... You can kind of see it in there. It's a bunch of, it looks like kitty litter or some kind of absorbent. It almost looks like little pebbles in there. And there's a little piece of sponge. I don't know if you can see that. Someone threw a piece of sponge in there. So I think one of the first things we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take this tank off. We're going to have to clean it all out. And we'll go through every part of it. And we're probably going to have to clean the carburetor. But let's move on to the next step. I'll clean the tank, and then we'll check the spark and move on from there. Alright, so the first thing we're going to have to do here is we're going to have to remove this top cover. We're going to have to get to this gas tank and clean it all up if we have any chance of getting this thing running. So I'm using a 1/4 inch socket. It's just a small socket, and there's going to be a screw here by the pull rope, one here and two in the front. So I'm going to start there. We're going to have to remove this oil stick here. Set our screws aside. And we can also clean that up a little bit more. While we have it off there. Now the tank. We'll locate the screws here. Alright, so the tank, there's these two kind of hangers here, and it hangs on there. You can kind of tilt it to the back and lift it out. So that's what I did. And we have the gas line here. We have a clip we're going to remove. I can hear all those. I think it's kitty litter in there. So I'm going to remove this clamp here. I'm just going to squeeze it with these needle nose and try to slide it back. And then I'm going to take this and just turn it. And I'm going to turn it out. And so there's our tank here. So let's get a look at what's actually in it, and then we'll work on cleaning it up. Alright, we have our tank here. You can see there's like kitty litter, and what else is this in here? Some kind of piece of metal. Yeah, that's a mess in there. So we're going to give this a good washing. Let it dry out real good. And then we'll hook it back up here. And hopefully the carb doesn't need cleaning, but it may. But we'll look into that after we clean this up. There's a piece of sponge in here. And a bunch of this, which just looks like, it really does look like kitty litter. So I'm going to get rid of this because it smells like gas, and clean this up, and we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so our gas tank's all cleaned up. Cleaned up all the which looked like kitty litter. I think what someone was trying to do is just they threw it out, so they wanted to absorb the gas in there. That's probably what happened. But we cleaned it all up, and the good part is when you run the water through it, you can make sure the gas is flowing properly. So I was getting good flow out of there. So now I'm just going to put this tank outside, make sure it's really dry. We'll clean up the rest of the motor here, and then we'll move on to the next step. So we're inching closer to seeing if we can't get this thing running. Alright, so we have our carburetor here, and I think what I'm going to do is take this 13mm socket on the bottom of this bowl here, and we're going to take the bowl off and kind of inspect it and see if we have any gunk in there. I can already see a bunch of garbage in there. So if that's the case, it would appear that this Carb's going to have to be taken off and given a thorough cleaning. So you could see the bowl. It's just filthy in there. So that's definitely what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to remove the carburetor, give it a good cleaning, pop it back on here. It smells like it's probably been sitting for a while. Alright, so we're going to get this carburetor off here, and easiest way is to remove this muffler first. So I have a small socket. This is 7/16, and I loosened up the bolt. It wasn't hard to get off. So we have the muffler. We'll set that aside. And I have a little, it's actually from an old grill. It's going to be nice to clean the parts on. It's just one of the shelves from a grill I threw away, so I'm going to use that. And now that we've taken that off, we can get to the 2 bolts that we're going to need to take that carburetor off. And that socket is going to be a 3/8 socket. Let's see if we can get it in there. The way this socket is shaped, I might have to get a smaller socket. So let me get because of this, it expands here and gets bigger. It would work on this side. So let me grab another one and then we'll continue. Alright, so I ended up using this little kind of a socket here, and then it fits into this 1/4, and I have the extension so I can use the bigger socket on it. And I could have just went ahead and taken these 2 off here, but I don't think that's necessary. I think we're good here. So we're going to start just taking this off here. We can give it a cleaning. Then you'll want to unhook this hose here. It's like the breather hose. Let's get the other one here. It's almost there. You're going to lose your nuts here. Don't lose those 2. We'll set them aside here. Now we're just going to remember where this linkage hooks up. It's going to be the second hole. So it's the second hole. It's always good to take a picture too if you need to. And then you want to just turn this just like that. So we have the carb off now. So now we can get a look at the float and give this thing a good cleaning. So we're going to do that next. Alright, so we have our carb here. We're going to go ahead and take this float off. I'm just going to slide this needle over. We'll take the float off. The needle's going to fall out. Looks in good shape. Primer bulb looks good. So I think the next step, I'm just going to take it outside. Alright, so the carb came out pretty clean. We cleaned it all up. I wasn't originally going to show some of the cleaning, but why not? So here's what it looks like. I've put the float back on. You can test the float by just blowing through the hose that hooks to the gas tank. And I'm blowing on it now, and there's nothing coming out. But if you lift on the float, I don't know if you can hear that. That means the float's working properly. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the bowl back on, and then we'll put the carb back on, and maybe the tank will be dry by then, and we can see if she'll run. Alright, we have our bowl. Came out nice. It's clean. That was pretty gunky in there. We're going to put our cap on. And the O-ring actually looks good. The ring here, the rubber, is in good shape. I don't see a problem with that. I want to tighten this too tight. I do hear the float. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and put this carburetor back on. Make sure you hook the linkage to the governor arm. Alright, so we put the muffler back on and the carburetor's on. And I'm just going to check the spark plug and see where we are with this. As we can see, it's not too bad. It's just a little dirty. It's typical. We just have to clean it up. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to clean it up quickly with maybe a soft wire brush and spray some carb cleaner on it. Then we'll put it back in, and I think the tank's almost dry. So we're going to be able to see if we can get this thing going. Give it a couple pulls and just see what happens. Alright, we cleaned up the spark plug here. Wasn't too bad. Nice and clean there, so we're going to put that back in. Usually do it by hand first. Don't want to strip it. Don't over tighten. And that takes care of that. Alright, so our gas tank's been cleaned. It's nice and clean and it's dry. It's been sitting outside in the sun for a while. We're going to have to put this fuel line back on here. So we'll do that first. And then taking our needle nose pliers, we'll pinch that clamp up to the top. Getting there. There we go. Now we're going to slip it in there. Okay. I think that's it for our tank, so we're going to put some gas in it and see what we get here. Alright, so I'm just going to put enough in there to get it running. I don't want to fill it up all the way yet because I'm not sure it's going to run or not. And you never know, I might have to take something apart again. So I'm just going to, not going to go crazy. That should be enough. Put our cap on. And then we're going to go ahead and put the plastic cover back on here. Remove the oil stick, the dipstick, just to get it in there. And then we've got the 4 screws that we took out before. And of course our 1/4 inch socket here. Think it's going to run? I hope so. I think it will. I did check the spark. We do have spark. So, and we do have compression. I think that's good enough. We're just going to attach the cable back up around the loop on the bars, and I think it's time to give it a try. Alright, so we cleaned it up, looks great, cleaned the carb. If it doesn't start, then more than likely I have to remove the carb again and be a little more thorough with it, but I think I was pretty thorough. We got gas in it. I think it's time to give it a try, and see if she runs, and then I'll see if the front wheels are going to turn, because that'll be another issue that we'll have to address. But let's give it a shot. Alright, so we did have a little bit of smoke, and it did get lighter as it was going on. I'm just going to let it sit. Sometimes it's better to let it sit and it'll burn off slowly, and then we'll try it again, see what happens. I did not see any oil in the air filter or anything like that. There could be a minor leak in the gasket on the head there. But we're going to continue with it, let it sit here, and we'll give it another shot and see where we are. Alright, it's cooled down, so let's give it another shot and see if we still got some smoke coming out of it. Alright, so you guys saw it. Overall, I had some smoke in the beginning. I let it cool down, started it again, and the smoke did disappear. I decided that I would dump the oil out, and I did that, and it's a lot dirtier than it looked on the stick when I originally had looked at it. But I usually change the oil anyway. This oil is just very watery, and it's filthy, so we're definitely going to be changing that. So I don't have any on hand. I'm going to have to get some, and then I'll do that. Just follow the manual if you're going to do it. Put the right amount in, and I appreciate you watching the video. I hope you learned something from this trash find, and we're going to get to the next motor soon. Hit like if you like it, and thanks to all the subscribers, and we'll see you next find.